Hi, welcome. We have our latest feature Friday. I'm Nina Newton from the Washington, D.C. chapter here. Nina, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what are you doing, and things of that sort.
Okay. Well, Nina Newton. I'm originally from Chester, Pennsylvania. I arrived on campus of Johnson C. Smith back in 1988, August 1988, and spent 4 wonderful years there. Graduated in 1992 with that amazing class of 1992. And basically, I felt like I lived my life. It was definitely a different world. Um, I currently serve as a class agent for my class. It seems like forever. I am a co-agent with Adrian Harper, but I stayed in Charlotte. I stayed in Charlotte after I graduated for a very long time, over 20 years. Um, Built up life there, did a lot of different things, but needed a change. Charlotte definitely has grown tremendously from the time I started, but it's a banking city, to me, call center city, and Charlotte and I had given each other, what we could give. And so it was time for me to do something else. And because I've always worked, I did a lot of different things in Charlotte, but always came back to working with children. I have a BA in English, and I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, but that changed. I felt like I came a long way to get to where I am now in terms of what my purpose, what I should be doing. Always work with children, over 20 years experience working with children, but never streamlined it to where I am now. So I moved here. I'm in Maryland, but moved here to about, I've been here 6, 7 years now, almost 7 years.
Okay.
And I just uprooted my life after 20 years being in Charlotte, made a change, and decided I'm going to go teach.
Nice.
I have been teaching dance to little children. I've worked with children from ages 2 to senior citizens in their 80s. So dance was my background and thing. And I thought when I was in Charlotte, that's what I was going to do. But I didn't want to go back to school for 4 years to get a degree in education to teach dance. So at the time, no one told me of any type of alternative programs I could have taken if they were even available. But so I put that off for a little bit. But when I made my move to come to Charlotte, I mean to come up here to Maryland, closer to family. I do have a sister here with her family. She's married, has children, but I'm here with her family. So got here closer, and she helped push me to get here. Um, Went through an alternative way through a program called DC Teaching Fellows,
Okay.
and they had me doing a lot of work with no pay, like several months before I would start their program. But I was excited, hey, I'm about to, do this thing about teaching. I didn't last in their program, and it was very intense. And I felt like, how am I going to do this, with all their demands, which I understand because I did well in the interview process and all that, but I still had a couple of praxis tests to pass.
Mhm.
And so with all the work they wanted us to do, and then me trying to study and pass that praxis test, I didn't know how. So because I didn't pass in time, July 3rd, I remember, I'll never forget the day before 4th of July, they told me I couldn't continue on with the program. No problem. Didn't let that stop me. Found another way to get into DC public schools. That was my goal. And I became an educational aide,
Good.
and that was with pre-K children. I had experience working with pre-K children, but I'm a little older. So I knew within the first week, oh, I can't continue to do this, not this age group. So yeah, because it's, their stuff is low, tables are low. And I was just like, I did this in my 20s. I can't do it now. So I did that for a year, but I started to pick up my pace with the getting licensed to be a teacher the end of that school year. And so that was back in 2013-14.
Okay.
And my principal said, hey, we're opening up another kindergarten class. Um, I told her from the beginning when she hired me what I wanted to do. She kept looking out for me. And all I had to do was get into a grad program, pass this praxis test that was holding me back, a math one, and go from there. And so it took me a minute to get that math praxis, but I did it like in the nick of time, the end of July, early August. Then I went on that path of getting into grad school, which was pretty amazing. Just how things were falling in place for me.
Okay.
It was pretty amazing and cool.
All
Um,
right.
yeah.
All right. Excellent. And so now, what are you teaching right now at this time?
Um, I started with kindergarten. I taught kindergarten for 5 years.
Mhm.
And one thing I'll say, I recommend as a new teacher, don't go to grad school, your first year in grad school, and start teaching your first year. That's crazy. But that's what I did. But I taught kindergarten for 5 years, and now I teach first grade. So I've just completed my first year, first grade.
Okay.
And kindergarten lays the foundation. Kindergarten, we teach everything. We teach them how to write. We teach them their letters. We teach them their sounds. So we are laying that foundation, but kindergarten is not like it was probably when you and I went to school.
Okay.
More of play, you learn through play. No, it was like a pre-first grade class to me. So that was different. But I teach first grade, always wanted to do first grade because they're a little bit more independent. Um, they mature and you can see growth, especially if you went from kindergarten with them to first grade, you see some growth. And they're on their way to really becoming great readers, because that's the most challenging thing with kindergarten is if you're working with children who are coming in and they had, you can tell that they just haven't been exposed.
Yeah.
Then it's just tough. It's just tough teaching them how to read. But with first grade, they come with a little bit more.
Okay.
So your day to day can be a little bit more exciting. Not that kindergarten isn't, because kindergarten rocks, without a doubt. I did it for 5 years.
Absolutely.
So
So
yeah.
let's that's one of my fears right now with everything with COVID is that those kids that don't necessarily have the parents at home and things of that sort aren't going to have that exposure. Is there anything that parents can do at home to help if they have a kid of that age to help enrich them in reading? Is there any kind of suggestions, resources out there that you do suggest in that regard?
Oh, of course, because that's my clientele. Which is where, I work in a high need school. And so in terms of socioeconomic status. So we have, fortunately, it's amazing this pandemic happened and all the resources we ever wanted for free we get now. You know, it's unfortunate, but you mentioned being worried about that. I'm still worried and concerned about that because unfortunately, less than 30% of children that we serve in DC did not engage. So what does that mean for us? We have a big problem. Um, there are tons of resources out there. My suggestion for parents, whether you're in our DC schools, to get engaged, ask questions. We are available, ready to help and answer those questions. But the online thing, a lot of people are afraid of it, but there are really some great and easy resources to use online. A lot of the public libraries, you have access to digital books for all ages online. If you don't do anything this summer, read, 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 read. That's read to your children, have them read to you, pull out words that they see frequently. We call them sight words or high frequency words. Um, that's my biggest suggestion, to read, to engage them in some type of program. And there are free programs out there that if your school hasn't already, should have shared with you, in terms of free programs that are available that they have access to online until the end of June, the end of July, that are interactive and engaging for young children. That's my biggest thing. And just take advantage of it, because it's not going to be free for us forever.
Yeah.
And it's some good tools. It's just that people have to use them. And I think that's what is the most challenging thing right now, is that we have all these great tools. We get resources every day. I send it out. I just don't know if they're using it.
Okay.
And that's hard because I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh, I can, do this with my kids. And I'm sitting waiting for my students to come in and I get one or I get two, and I still give them my all as if, it was a full class, but that's going to be the hard part. And in terms of this achievement gap, I don't know if you ever heard that, but there's an achievement gap. And so with our African American students, this pandemic has pushed us further back. It has made the gap wider. And the great thing is that there were many efforts made to get students laptops, which we should have always had, hotspots, things like that. But we'll see. We'll see. And unfortunately, this was to me like a practice run, because get ready, parents, it's coming. Virtual learning is going to be a part of our norm. Not every day, but we're going to have this remote learning thing happening more than we want to see it.
Okay. All right. Got it. That makes me nervous, but we're going to have to deal with it, right? Exactly. So
Yeah, but don't be nervous and don't be afraid to talk to the teachers and ask them questions, because that's our job. So yeah, don't be nervous or afraid. But and you can only do so much, right? And that's what I told my parents a lot this whole time. You can only do what you can do because they got other things they're thinking about and they're prioritizing. And it's, same with me.
so
But
let's pick up on that real quick. What are some of the things, because like many of us parents, we're working from home, and now like just yesterday DC public Parks and Recreation canceled summer camp, so that's kind of official, that my kids are going to be home with me this summer. Are any suggestions on maybe how to structure the day? Do they do better in the morning? Do they do recess? What any suggestions on how to make sure we are educating them somewhat, and having fun over the summer?
yeah. Well, first, like you mentioned, you and I think we're saying earlier, you got to have a schedule for your kids and you got to stick to the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to like it, but what can help is you can involve them in creating the schedule
Mm,
so that empowers them, when they can be a part of creating those things, or these are the things they want to do. Now you give them some guidance, but maybe ask them, what do you think you should be doing this summer?
mm,
What do you think you should be learning this summer? And help them create that schedule, when they're going to get up, when they say they're going to go to bed. Okay, when is snack time? When is lunchtime? So you get that out of the way. Okay, in between, this is what we're going to do. They got to stay active, physically active. Good. I think it's going to be a hot summer. So unfortunately, a lot of things that we would normally do, that's decreased, right? But there are things you can do outside in your own backyard.
sprinkler, baby. I've already bought a slip and slide sprinkler, and I actually got an above ground pool too. So we.
Yeah. You need to put that on the schedule every day that it's a sunny, hot day.
Okay.
And that's a lot of work on you, but as a parent, but every day they need that water activity. They need to run. They need to have some time where they can be creative with arts and crafts.
Mm.
Thank goodness for the internet, Google, you can find, or Pinterest, you can find so many things on Pinterest, or just Googling whatever it is that you want to make. Um, and easy instructions, and so many options. But I actually wrote some things down to just think about, and have patience with your children. Help them with change, help them with understanding change, and it's okay to make mistakes, things like that. But they should definitely be reading
Mhm.
30 minutes a day, break it up.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be all at one time, but break that up, whether it's a book you're reading to them, a book they're reading to you, if they're, because you have young children, but people who have kindergartners or first graders, they're still emergent readers, but they can read to you, or you can read back and forth together. We call that pair reading,
Okay.
or digital or audio book. Hey, 15 minutes.
It's free.
Yeah. And like I said, the library offers that stuff free. If you're like, I have no more interesting books, we used them all up during the pandemic. So go to the public library online. And there's a reading challenge. DC Public Library has a summer reading challenge. And something like that will pique their interest should pique their interest to want to be a part, because you get some prizes.
Mm.
They have incentives, and our kids love stuff like that. They love to be recognized.
My kids are part of that every year. So
Good,
I,
good.
I,
Continue that.
I kind of forgot about it though. So thank you for
You probably forgot about a lot of things you already knew because of this
yeah,
pandemic.
yeah, we trying to figure it out. Go and did you have some other things?
Um, Virtual field trips.
Good.
Now, there's one that our librarian, she has been incredible, giving us a ton of resources. But I checked out one. It's called Monterey Bay Aquarium.org. MONTEREY Bay Aquarium.org. They have live cams of ocean life. And I thought that was pretty cool. NASA had some pretty decent um, videos that you could see of stuff in space looking at the Earth. I thought that was pretty cool. And even if you're able to get it on a large screen, TV screen or something like that, I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it. But I would suggest things like that. It's different. You could do that a couple times a week just so that they're not bored with it. But definitely the arts and crafts thing is important. Science experiments. Easy things in your kitchen that they can do and explore. Even have them journal about it with, or do the scientific method, come up with a conclusion, or what do they think will happen, things like that. I think it would really help the summer experience for your children. You're going to learn so much, and you'll find some things you forgot that you've learned, but I think that's about it. But
Good.
I feel like, especially now, there's so many different things out there that I know Michelle Obama, she had a reading program on PBS. That was cool. Her and her husband, President Barack Obama, they did something together. So that's still on YouTube, for them to do. And even have moments to talk about what's happening, these current events, with your kids, to just help them to be aware of what's going on in a childlike way. You can tell them they got to know why it's important. That they just got to know. The thing with George Floyd, they got to know. They got to know that, and they need to know our history. So this could be a good time to begin Black history, or continue it if you've already, started your kids with that.
All right, great. Well, I appreciate those some gems to drop off to parents like myself of young kids who are just completely flabbergasted and trying to figure out how we
Yeah.
gonna make this work over the summer. So any notes you want to leave to like the young alumni coming up? Any suggestions you want to pass down?
First, congratulations to them being young alumni. It's an exciting time because you're done with your time with college. But I would say this to them, and really to any alumni that has not done this, but to stay connected to the university. Johnson C. Smith gave you something. You got something out of it. Give something back to it. But stay connected to the university, your classmates. Know what's going on at our school, and understand that, when they always talk about giving back, yes, they are talking about giving back money. And that's the only way that Johnson C. Smith will be able to continue to stand for other students to come in. We say this all the time as class agents to our classmates and to alum. We got to give something back, even if it's a small amount. And I'll tell young alumni this too. Don't be intimidated by those high rollers who can donate thousands of dollars. You're just getting out of school. So if it's $5, hey, your name is on the list that you donated. It's so important that our participation is increased and is there, so that the current president and his team, when they're out looking for corporations and to give them money, they can see, oh, Johnson C. Smith has 60% participation of alumni. That's important. They're not looking at what we give, they're looking at how many of us actually give back. And because we're a Black institution, if we don't do it, take care of ourselves, why are we expecting someone else to? And
Great point.
college education didn't stop when we left. So, we had friends that were still there when we were leaving. And, they're counting on us, and we've got to give back. We've got to stay connected. I didn't do it immediately, but get involved in your local chapter if there's a local chapter. If not, things are done virtually now. So get involved virtually, do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate I appreciate the gem on that. That's definitely what we want to get the young people involved, because the whole purpose of what we're putting together, Professional Alumni Network, is connect people to jobs and opportunity, and entrepreneurs, help them with their businesses and advance their careers. So I definitely recommend that. Well, thank you so much, Nina. I appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us, and you have a wonderful.
No problem. Can I say this? If for anybody who is looking to be a teacher, DC Public Schools is always looking for new recruits. So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this is a way to connect. And I follow your page. So I'll be happy to give them information. I am also, I didn't mention, a part of Delta Sigma Theta.
All right.
In Delta for 30 years now. So
Whoop. I
celebrated 30 last year.
Yeah.
Huh? What'd you say?
I tried to do ooh. My mama's a doctor, so
Good woman, right?
And my aunt, the whole nine.
Good people.
Absolutely.
Had to throw that in there.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. We rap what we rap. All right, Nina,
Yeah.
you take care. I thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
You too. Be safe.
You too.
All right. Bye.